Welcome to Common Sense Wellness with Dr. Gary Martin, the show that helps you take control of your health with clarity, confidence, and practical wisdom. Dr. Gary Martin has spent decades in clinical practice and natural wellness research, discovering that the key to lifelong vitality lies in understanding the body's signals before they become symptoms. Each week, we will explore simple science-backed methods like mineral testing, facial scans, and lifestyle adjustments that help you restore balance from the inside out. You'll also hear from expert guests and real clients who have turned their health challenges into stories of transformation. No gimmicks, no fads, just common sense wellness that works. Now, here's your host, Dr. Gary Martin.
Welcome to Common Sense Wellness. I'm Dr. Gary Martin, and for over 50 years, I've helped people understand their health through testing, practical wellness strategies, and holistic approaches. On this show, we explore simple, actionable ways to restore balance, boost energy, and thrive. And today, I'm honored to be joined by Dr. Melanie Icard. Dr. Mel, a naturopathic and regenerative medicine physician specializing in root cause cardiovascular and metabolic health. That's a mouthful. She's the creator of the Biohacked Heart Blueprint, a 7-stage clinical protocol that addresses the real drivers of heart disease, chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, toxic burden, calcium dysregulation, and nervous system dysfunction. Another mouthful. With 12 years of clinical experience, Dr. Mel trains medical professionals nationally and runs a practice serving patients in Scottsdale and Sedona, Arizona. Sedona is very beautiful, as well as across the nation. She's a speaker and the author of Don't Die Healthy. So, Dr. Mel, can you start by telling us a bit about your background and how you came to specialize in root cause cardiovascular and metabolic health?
Yeah, it's really funny because I didn't plan on it, I got into naturopathic medicine, which is a weird thing to get into, 20 years ago or whatever as well. And it's all really started when I was a kid. And my mother got sick with breast cancer. And I'm the second oldest, I'm the only daughter. And so I would go with her to all of her appointments. And here I am, a kid, I don't know anything, but my understanding is when you go to the doctor, you're supposed to get better. That's what I thought, right? But I decided we were going to all these appointments. She had a baby, so I had to watch her baby while she's going to all these appointments. And she always looked worse, Gary, every time. So I was like, okay, we're like going to all these appointments. Like this was supposed to help my mom. She's not getting better. And what happened is she eventually passed away, maybe from the treatments, maybe from the illness, who knows? But as a very young woman, she was 33 and I was 11. So that was a marked experience, right?
Right.
And I was just kind of like, like none of that worked. And then we got kind of displaced, right? Because then that kind of broke up the family. We grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska. And so me and my oldest brother got shipped to Mexico, if you can imagine, where our father was living. Yeah, so from Alaska to Mexico. And, cute enough as he was, Dad didn't really know what he was doing, but he was a little bit of a health nut, right? So we didn't understand him. We thought he was a weirdo, but he was doing in the 90s, he was doing 10-day juice cleanses. And me and my brother are like, he's not going to eat food for 10 days. That's totally psycho. And then of course he would be crabby and detoxing the first 2 days. And we're like, certifiably insane, this guy, and we thought he was ranting and raving because he didn't like us having, cow milk and NutraSweet. And we're just like, wow, this guy's so annoying. And, and on top of that, he just kept sending me to different aunts to take care of me. Oh, maybe go with this aunt or go with that aunt, So I got kicked around like an old shoe. So then if you fast forward, I now have a son, he's almost 23. So when I got pregnant with him, that was my light bulb moment. I'm like, well, I don't want this kid to not have a mom. That was kind of hard, not having a mom growing up, right? And I said, well, wait a minute, maybe Dad over here, he's onto something. And maybe I should find out how to be healthy from him because I don't want my kid to not have a mom growing up, right? So that was the whole before that I was going to Wendy's and like everything, like, right? I was just like a typical American girl. And so I went to my dad. I'm like, I know I was a brat. I'm sorry. I made fun of you a lot, but I'm serious. I need to know how to be healthy. And that's when I started my holistic health lifestyle like 24 years ago. And I was still learning stuff all the time, Gary, like every day. So that's how it started. And I really didn't want to go to medical school. I thought it was going to be a lot of work, you know? And it was. But eventually, as I got older, I realized that everything is a lot of work, so you might as well do what you want. And that's how it started. I tried to do cancer. I did not want to do cancer. I tried it. I did not want to do it. So I got, oh, maybe I want to deliver babies. I did not like that. I like sleeping at night. It was stressing me out. Like I tried all these different things. I'm like, maybe I want to do this. And I fell in love with regenerative medicine on top of naturopathy, right? Because I found that these simple therapies were really effective at healing. And then I built my practice based on naturopathic medicine and regenerative medicine. And in the middle of that, as a single mom with a kid with autism, and I building a practice, I stressed myself into being pre-diabetic. Like, and here I'm like my clients, I'm like, I'm doing everything, I'm like, I'm eating all the good food and I'm working out 5 days a week. I even look like I'm like fit, and I was even doing the ice bath like 5 days a week and meditation like twice. I felt like I was doing everything, but maybe that was the problem.
Right.
Yeah. And so I was like pissed off, like, why am I pre-diabetic? And so I have to stop this. I have to reverse this. And I had to do a deep dive on that. And I knew right away that a lot of it was my fault, or all of it, maybe it was my fault. But like I had been burning the candle from both ends, like basically my whole life. And I knew right then and there, okay, I have to figure out what can I give away or what can we just get rid of altogether and then find all these little missing pieces that aren't that mainstream, even in naturopathic medicine for metabolic health, right? And so it was a big learning experience. And then once I did that for myself, I started looking at my clients, and there wasn't like one person that I was like, wow, what a great metabolic system they have, And so that's when I realized that was a key part of like everything, and we weren't really looking at it.
So what type of practice do you typically work with in Scottsdale and Sedona or anywhere?
So in Sedona, I do a 4-day immersion, right? So it's like a retreat where we teach them like the protocol. We do the protocol with them, but we also kind of show them how they could live, right? Like through the eating and being in nature and the nervous system reset. So the Sedona experience is really great because you really feel it. And a lot of people think they're too busy to like commit to doing a program, right? So, but most people can maybe squeeze out a 4-day weekend if they plan it, right? And so, it's the most work for me, honestly, the immersions in Sedona, but I love it the best because I see the people just kind of like melt, like on the second day, everyone's like, I can't believe I don't feel stressed. Oh my gosh, this food is so delicious, right? And, oh, this nature is so great, and all of these things. And so we walk the people through this so they experience it. And also that community and that connection, which we don't get that much in modern life, especially if you're trying to live a holistic lifestyle and maybe that's new for you and the people around you think you're a weirdo, So it's like that I love those 4-day Sedona retreats. And then I'm just focusing on people in Scottsdale or, coaching, over the country that don't want to have high blood pressure, don't want to be diabetic or pre-diabetic, we're talking type 2 there, right? That's easier to reverse. Don't want to have a heart attack, don't want to have another heart attack, or they have a lot of plaque and they want to do something about it. Those are the kind of people I work with. And if they show up, and give us a solid 7 out of 10, then we can get results on that. But the biggest issue is like that chronic stress thing, that's what I find is it can like make or break people, and it's the part that people resist the most.
Most people are, they're literally addicted, and don't know it.
Yes. Yeah, that's my new theory is like, are we addicted to coffee and energy drinks? I don't know, fill in the blank. Or is it like this kind of like stress hit, like the, getting more cortisol and adrenaline running that love it unconsciously?
Right. Well, you created the Biohacked Heart Blueprint, which is a 7-stage protocol addressing things like chronic inflammation, which I believe to be the #2 health problem in America,
Yeah.
insulin resistance, toxic
Mhm.
burden, calcium dysregulation, nervous system dysfunction. Can you walk us through how that framework came together?
Yeah. So I am pretty nerdy. Like I love going to seminars, getting mentors, like reading books, And so I've always been like a protocol creator kind of a gal, I'm like, oh, and I feel, just being present, then you get more of those intuitive hits about how to put things together. So it all happened after I started working with people on their blood sugar and their insulin and their metabolism, that an old client came in and he was pretty upset and serious because he was told he was going to have to put some stents in his heart and he was not feeling that. And I thought that was pretty cool because they told him, you need stents in your heart. And he said, can you give me 2 months? And they said, yeah. And I thought that was pretty cool. So if people, you can always, ask for 2 months like this guy did. And he said, look, Mel, and he was also like a naughty patient. He said, I know I never listened to you, but I'm serious. Like, I don't want to do that. And I've got 2 months. What do you got for me? I'm going to listen. And I was like, ooh. And I was just really present and it just kind of came in like, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this, right? And that's literally, so it's therapies that we had been doing, but put together in a certain order for this fella. And he showed up, he did the detox, he did the calcium therapy, the glucose therapy, the IV therapy. And I was so surprised when he said, oh yeah, I got excused from needing the procedure in 2 months. And I was like, wow, that's a cool. That's like a pretty good protocol. I'm going to like remember that one, And that's how it all started. And then I just went on about my business, because I have other interests. And then another fella shows up, older, maybe even 20 years older than that guy, but different. Like he's already intermittent fasting and he's really trying, So he was a good patient, but he's still full of plaque in his carotids, right? And so I said, well, I got this protocol. Why don't we do that one? And when we did that, and he loves getting his imaging, like he's a dream patient, right? It cut more than in half his plaques. He went from like 70 to 30% plaque. And I thought, wow, cool. I was like, high five, dude. And then this guy is so serious about his health. He goes, I want to do it again. And I said, okay, well, it's not going to hurt you. We can do it again. And so we did it again for him and he went and got his imaging. And when it came back, it just said normal. And we're going, well, what does normal mean these days? Like that's kind of hard to know. So we actually called the radiologist and she whipped up his before and after imaging. And she said, he has 0 plaque. What did you do? And so, and here's the cool thing about that guy. He's still at 0 and he's like 3.5 years out. So I was like, incredible. So after that, then I was like, oh, maybe we should focus more on working on this protocol because this really has the potential to improve the way that we age. And it's pretty simple, like you do the common sense wellness. It's like, it's a lot of fundamentals with a little bit of regenerative medicine. And when you combine that, it's just very efficient on healing the cardiac and metabolic system. And if you think about it, right, like say somebody's just living a standard American lifestyle, right? I know, this, people will grow like an extra little artery, right? Like, okay, well, I kind of clogged up these. So the heart will just grow another artery, or if there's too much plaque in the carotid, they'll just make a little bypass artery, right? Like the body's incredible. And that's what we're actively, you could say poisoning yourself. So but with this, I think when you give it those fundamentals and the regenerative medicine, like of course the body can heal itself. I mean, the body's incredible.
Well, of those 5 drivers, if you want to call them that, is there one that you find that the most commonly overlooked in conventional heart disease treatment?
I would say insulin resistance and stress. I think they might kind of talk about stress, but they don't. What are we doing for it? And then my dream is like in the future, fasting insulin is on everybody's screening labs, because then we can kind of get ahead of stuff before, like, wouldn't you rather get ahead of stuff before it becomes a big problem?
Right. That's for sure. But you said you take seriously the patient's conventional medicine has dismissed. What does that look like in practice? What are you seeing that would you say conventional doctors may have missed?
Well,
What's
I
the
mean,
most
I
common
think
thing?
that the screening labs can miss a lot, you know? Like I have a lot of people that like, I mean, if you just look at like their glucose and their cholesterol, their basic cholesterol, they look fine. But when you go deeper, like they've got a lot of inflammation, they've got insulin, they've got stickier cholesterol that we don't see on like a typical panel, right? And even if you just sit with the person, you can feel like that angst, like that foot on the gas, you know, right? Like even though they're retired, like they can't sit still, you know, like kind of thing, right? Like you can feel it. The other thing is that I've started doing with everybody is a different kind of imaging, right? And this is crazy. I had a guy who his labs looked pretty fine. And then I had him do this eye imaging analysis from a coronary CTA, right? And then they upload it to this AI software. And I mean, I almost fell out of my chair that he was like severely full of plaque, but like he wasn't symptomatic. His labs looked fine. He didn't have anything to like really suggest that. So I'm really encouraging everyone to do that, right? Because the worst part for me is like that false peace of mind. And even just on focusing, hyper focusing in conventional medicine on like squishing down the LDL cholesterol. I mean, you can squish that down, but there's this whole process that's going on, you know, that's still happening. And we just have like a lower LDL cholesterol. That's the big issue with conventional medicine. You know, I think it's just that cholesterol, like hyper focus, but it's like insulin and cortisol and, you know, all this other inflammation stuff is still going on, which is why a lot of people, even with like normal or low cholesterols, are still having a lot of plaque and having events.
Well, a lot of what we talk about, it, the sponsor of Common Sense Wellness is a nonprofit Biological Immunity Research Institute that I've been heading up almost 50 years now. And we talk a lot about power of objective testing to reveal what's really happening in the body before you decide upon a course of action. So with the protocol built around root causes like inflammation, calcium dysregulation, how central has testing and measurement been to your work?
Oh, we always do a holistic lab panel and imaging before and after. Yeah. And I
Okay.
like everyone to check their carotids as well, because that's another place that people tend to have plaque, you know, besides the
Mhm.
coronary arteries. Yeah, and I feel
Mhm.
like it gives us things, right, that like pieces of the puzzle that we need. And also it just helps people take action, right? Because sometimes they need to see things to like for things to click for them to take action, you know?
Right. Yeah. One of the things that I've been teaching every practitioner that I can convince to listen to me is that this urine and saliva
Oh
test
yeah.
that I learned about back in 1975. I still haven't found anything any better in terms of dealing with root basic causes of the whole disease process. You know, I mean, basically every disease has to have a particular environment in order to exist. I mean, that's just common sense, right? So change the environment
Hmm.
and you change the disease. Or maybe
Absolutely.
you might even kill the disease. I mean, that's really what you're doing. So you train medical professionals nationally on this work. What's the biggest shift you try to help other practitioners make when it comes to how they evaluate a patient's real risk factors?
Well, I mean, it is like through the holistic labs, you know, and also like the biggest thing is not leapfrogging over these fundamental things, right? Like detoxing, disinflaming, the lifestyle stuff. Like these things are the foundation for everything else to work so much better. A lot of people these days are attracted to like the bright and shiny things, you know, like EBU or plasma exchange or whatever. And those are cool and interesting, you know, but I've seen clients that have done that and still come to me. And when we do their labs, there's still quite a lot to work on there, right? Because you have to do those fundamental things, and then those things can kind of be like the cherry on the sundae.
Okay. So your own path into this work wasn't purely clinical. You lost your mom to the side effects of a conventional treatment, even though you're a little reluctant to go there. And you rebuilt your own health through root cause medicine. How would you say that personal experience shaped the way that you practice and the message that you are trying to get across in Don't Die Healthy? In fact, give us a little insight into that book.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is that so many, and me too, when I was pre-diabetic, like I said, I was going to the gym 5 days a week. Like, I looked healthy, right? But I was running on like chronic stress, and so, that's so many of the clients, like so many of them look healthy and they're even trying, they're not eating a standard American diet. But when you do those more in-depth holistic or functional labs, you see it. And I haven't named it, but I mean, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but it's kind of like I kind of call it a chronic stress metabolic mess pattern, that shows up in the labs, and it's just like, and we have to see these things sometimes. Like maybe we know that, oh, maybe I need to relax or, not have ice cream every night or whatever it is. But like once we see those things, it helps us take action. And then it can make us feel good about the changes we've made when we do them again and we see those improvements, right? So that we can like dial in those new habits. Because it's really a lot about deciding and discipline. And then once you get the discipline in, then it becomes a habit, right? And that's the other thing. It can't be like, oh, I'm doing this health program. It has to be more of, yeah, if you have to heal something, you need to do a program, but you need to incorporate as much as you can into your lifestyle so that it's sustainable, right? Because like being healthy isn't something we just do like once a year or something like that.
That's for sure. So where can our audience go to learn more about you and your work?
Yeah, I think the best place to go is just the website, right? Because on the website, if you're like, what is this Biohacked Heart Blueprint? There's a 20-minute masterclass you can watch on the website. I do a live webinar once a month where you can jump on, and I always change it up, and we do questions and answers at the end. And so it's Dr. Melanie, Melanie, Icard, ICARD.com. So if you just go there, you'll have all the buttons to just learn more about the different services or jump on a live webinar and learn in person.
And can they order the book there, or is the book on Amazon, or what?
Oh, we'll get the book up there. Yes. My husband's always telling me, you need to put more stuff on the website. There's a few things on there. It's always an ongoing process.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So if you could leave our audience with one takeaway about taking control of their heart health, what would it be?
I would say ask for a fasting insulin at your next screening labs at the very least. And remember that you want it to be less than 5. The lab range may say that you're normal at 20 to 25, but we really want to be less than 5. And that's a great place to get started, is like leaning into that. And that the body can heal itself. So don't think that you're too old, it's too late for you, because things that we were kind of led to believe weren't possible are possible. So if we give it the right environment, the body kind of just takes care of the rest.
Good information. Thank you, Dr. Mel. You're just a walking encyclopedia of many different things, especially as it relates to the whole cardiovascular system. Thank you for joining us on Common Sense Wellness. Remember, taking practical steps to understand your health, both emotionally and physically, is how we restore balance, boost energy, and thrive. See you next episode.
Thanks for listening to Common Sense Wellness with Dr. Gary Martin. To learn more about the testing and resources we discussed, or to find out how you can take charge of your own health, visit BIRI.org. You'll find valuable information, free tools, and ways to connect directly with our wellness community. That's BIRI.org. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share the show with someone who's ready to take their next step toward better health.